now we're going to take a look at how you pot perennials. Behind us here is a facility that is right now currently potting some plugs. So I'm going to turn over to Darryl to educate you folks on how the process works. Darryl?
Thanks, Jeff. This product here, this particular potting machine is called an Instant Potter. So what ends up happening is the material is loaded into a large container, a hopper over there, and through a series of conveyors is dumped into what's called a mixer, which then dumps from another conveyor onto this area where pots are placed in. A couple of critical parts to make sure this works. There's a great deal of soil that's recycled. So you can see down here, there's another conveyor that's picking up that soil and putting it back in. So nothing is wasted. It's just a continual constant motion. And because once it gets running, it runs a very minimal amount of electricity. And we have what's called three-phase electric here, which allows us to cut our electrical costs dramatically in that sense. So when you come over here, these plugs here were grown in our Newtown facility from a simple cutting.
Okay.
So we take a cutting of this plant. Now this particular plant is a type of coral bells that is patented. So it's a little more expensive to get the rights to take that cutting, but we do it because it's a popular item.
Is there when you have a patent on a plant? Is there a time? Is there a limitation for that?
There is. Okay. It's generally 10 years. Unfortunately, most plants lose their popularity in 10 years, Jeff. Okay. And we're on to the next one. Okay. So this small plug here, basically these are put in trays of 32 with this particular size. For efficiency's sake, they're pulled from the tray and set into these crates first. So they're ready to go rather than having to plug them. So this is part of the preparation process.
Time frame for this? What is this, a 1 season growth, 2 years growth?
Absolutely. This is 6 to 8 weeks in our greenhouse.
6 to 8 weeks in the
greenhouse to
get
to this point from a single cutting.
So this is a wintertime project, maybe?
That's correct. This was done. So these were stuck. And it's 6 to 8 weeks, and then we allow for a process that's called vernalization. What that is our greenhouses are rather warm, much warmer than your average nighttime temperature at this time of year. So then we put them into a house that's very minimally warmed, so the plants can start to acclimate themselves to a more normal condition. We want to push them along to speed up the process, and then we literally want to slow it down, which really doesn't harm the plant because it's done gradually. It's gradually stepped down. We have 4 bays of a greenhouse, going from extremely warm to cooler to even more so to the coolest, where the temperature might get down to say 28 degrees. So these plants are ready for a light freeze, which is perfectly fine.
Okay, great.
So now that these plugs are prepared, they're going to come here. You can see this is what's called a 1 gallon container. When you speak of a 1 gallon container, this truly holds 1 gallon volume. There's a misconception in the trade. This is one that actually does hold the true volume of which it states. So this small plug is put in there.
Let's watch the woman do her thing here.
Absolutely.
Okay. So she places the soil there, fills it up.
Now you'll notice she's placing the soil and just simply the plug on top. The next person in line is sitting the plug basically by digging a small divot in the soil with her fingers, placing it in and grabbing some of the excess soil to kind of tamp it down to make sure it's a good product. Now you'll notice the soil is almost to the rim of the container. After these are watered, the soil will settle slightly.
Sure.
It'll probably settle about a ½ inch.
And these will fully root in the pods this season?
Oh, very much so, Jeff.
Okay.
I would expect these to be ready in June.
So if I was to buy this plant for my clients, I would be buying this product right in June or July this year?
Well, the thing is, there's a difference between rooted and ready to sell.
Okay.
These will be rooted before the tops are large enough that I'm comfortable with. We won't sell this plant unless the tops are outside of the width of the container.
All right, and so when will you be selling me these plants later?
I would anticipate this being a 4th of July product for it being a true number one quality where you're wowed by it. They will be ready and safe to be planted in and around June. Okay. But I won't be satisfied personally with the size of the top of the plant. There won't be enough leaf to it.
Now, and these are a perennial.
That's correct.
And a perennial is a plant that comes back every year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, when they are planted in your yard, perennials just continually grow and get larger and larger and larger every year, or do they stop at a certain time?
In general, perennials thrive if they're divided every so often, and the good rule of thumb is every 5 years or so. this small little coral bell will develop into a rather large clump. When that happens, dividing it up is generally recommended. It invigorates the plant, and also you get to spread it throughout the yard. It's an added bonus.
Okay. Now, is this process here for all your perennial plugs, or is this particular plant?
The process is similar for all the perennial plugs.
Okay.
The plugs might be different size. They might go into a different size container, but the process is
still
generally speaking the same. Correct.
So if we were talking on the phone and you said to me, "Hey Jeff, today we're doing daylilies, or we're doing astilbes, or we're doing ferns," I would envision the same process occurring here for the operation.
That's correct.
Okay, great. So now you are planting these today, and now this woman behind you is now indicating what this plant is, and now you're going to load the wagon and bring it to your storage facility for water fertilization, or what happens?
Yes, that's correct. The real trick with this is we have up to 6 wagons going at a time. Someone will pull this out, and one person will pull off with this crew and unload while the rest of the crew continues to pot.
That sounds
it's critical for production that everyone not go to take these plants off the trailer, and that there be enough people here to continually effectively pot. Otherwise, the process really becomes bogged down, and our efficiency is cut by more than half.
Okay, and how many workers do you have here today? You have what, 3 or 4 workers here?
Well, you see 3 or 4. There's another one that's currently putting plants down, and there's one who runs the equipment.
Okay, so you have 6 workers then.
6 as well as the supervisor who oversees the whole thing, and also is responsible for preparing and making sure everything's on top properly.
And how many? 6 workers. What's your production for a day for doing this?
We would like to see 3,000 containers.
3,000 1-gallon plants, so that's 500 plants per person per day.
That's correct.
So what is that in hours? That's 65 plants an hour, that's a plant a minute.
That's correct. So
Pretty quick math there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you break it down in an 8-hour day, if we want to really hit our stride and be doing quite well, you're looking at almost 400 plants an hour.
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing when we can get that going, Jeff.
And I bet you love perennials.
I love perennials. I'll tell you why. We talk about trees. These are ready to go to market from when we first take that cutting. They're ready for sale in 4 months.
Right.
So in that respect, it's a quick turnaround, and most people don't believe me when I say we make more money per square foot of perennials than anything else we grow.
Yeah, they're the money makers.
Absolutely.
Let's take a walk over here to one of your hoop houses where these are being stored for the season.
Absolutely.
Let's just talk here for a second about the truck here. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. The tractor's all hooked up to the trailer. Got 2 trailers here, all loaded with your plants. And now what happens?
These will be watered before they're brought to their final spot to be grown on for 2 reasons. One, we want the soil to settle, and 2, it helps create a little more weight because of the somewhat uneven terrain here. It helps keep the plants on the trailer. The last thing we want is plants falling off.
Okay, great. Well, let's go over and see their final resting home.
Excellent.